Hello! We are back again today with a folded collage booklet. Basically, there's going to be some links below to how to make the collage itself, how to cut it, and then how to fold it. So right off the bat, you can see here, I wanted to show you before we get into how it's assembled and everything, that this is how the collage started out. This is another one that we have done. And here you'll see it kind of folds and folds back and forth, and then where to cut it. But like I said, I'm going to leave the links below to show you exactly how, again, like the inspiration we got from Lydia Rink and how she does it. So there wasn't any reason for us to show that part of the video. So there you see just kind of laid out how it all works, folding it back up. And on this particular one, we've done some artwork on the back side as well, because I don't know exactly if we're going to glue everything together like we did on this one. As you can see right there, that's where we would glue. And very quickly, here is the finished product, and this is what we're going to be working on today. You'll see us do the cover and assembly of the binding, and then the assembly of the cover and the bound pages. So we'll get right into it. Alright, so now what you see here are the cardboard pieces, just chipboard, that we decided to use as our base. And it took me a little while to figure out exactly, I'm so sorry, the spacing on the spine, because you need that there for the flexibility. And it took me a minute to kind of figure out how I wanted that to happen and kind of the best way to set it up there. I probably totally overthought all of this. That happens to me quite a bit. And there you see P's hands, and I've been wearing my hair a little wild lately, so I'm just getting into the videos. I'm so sorry. Alright, so you saw that this kind of one or two attempts there. It turned out that it really was best to lay the binding tape down, then put the pieces on top of that. So the part that you see now is actually going to be the front cover part. That is the inside. Interior cover piece. So now we're just taking a look at the finished. You saw the finished collage, already folded, already glued. Now we're just deciding on which of our crinkled paper, our handmade crinkled paper, we are going to use for covering the cover. We have actually used some of these papers, the crinkled papers, as starts to the backgrounds that we make in some of our printable paper sets. And we have been kind of throwing around an idea about just doing this set just as it is. Now P is setting up to show you guys how she colored this particular paper. See the Vicky Bouton glaze. Stuff works for all kinds of things, and it gave a really interesting shimmer to the finished paper. Alright, just taking a paintbrush here and going over the entire front and back just to make sure that it is fully, this thing was like sopping wet once P had finished everything that she is, well, as you will see here, everything that she's adding to it. I think what she had used there was just some spray water And now she's putting on the watercolor crystals. Now a little bit of spray. Watercolor crystals, water. So it's kind of interesting how the watercolor crystals work. And in this instance, you saw almost like a wet on wet technique. So now you can see with all that wet, it required a little bit of drying, and we ended up just putting it actually on the dry line. So now, with a little bit of, actually a lot of time to dry, well, not really, not a ton of time, but it took a little while. It was ready to go ahead and glue down. So P made a more watery mixture of the PVA glue. So basically just squirted the glue in there, added water to it, so that way it was nice and smooth and easy to brush on. And that's what she's doing there. The paper turned out beautifully. It just really doesn't even do it justice here. Because it has this nice little shimmer to it because of the glazing. That's where the art glitter glue comes in very handy on these edges where things are going to get touched more, bent more. We are both in love with our new tools, little bone tools. Not sure exactly how we lived without those. I think P was checking to see if the camera was running. We've been having a lot of technical difficulties lately, so I'm glad she's doing that. And there you have it. The cover has been covered. Okay, now we're to the point of needing to bind it. Even though the pages are folded and glued together, they still are going to need to be attached. So you can see there, we have these awesome magnetic clips, and they were really great because they have those holes through them there. And I just kind of used that as a measurement and then held it back in place, because that's a little piece that we're going to use on the spine, because we weren't going to bind it to the outside, to the actual cover. So we wanted a hidden spine. And then you saw like the little yoga mat thing there that we've used before. This is technically maybe the second time I have done the binding part. So Pete gave me a little bit of instruction, and then I kind of, went on my own a little bit there too. We will get better. I feel like each time we do, so it's always the goal. Some notes on that. I would have actually, what I should have done with the little spine piece there is put the decorative papers on the interior part, because you'll see here in a little bit, I ended up having to come in and cover it up. But like I said, this is sort of our maiden voyage on this, so this required a lot of after engineering. Is what we will, afterthought kind of things of, oh, well, should have done that, but now here we are, and this is what we're going to do now. So part of that was, that's how Pete thought it should be, and I'm like, well, no, because what's going to happen is it's going to pull. So that had to be loose. It had to allow for the interior pages to move, because that was going to be one of the problems with the cover being attached to that section, is with the opening and closing would have caused pulling, and just it would have worn the paper to the point of it then just falling out or breaking loose. So here we are discussing that once again. So finally, we're in agreement there. And so what I do, and this is sort of the final thing I did that evening, was glue, using the PBA glue. Again, just that stuff drives me bonkers. Put plenty of it there. And I had to ask again which was the front. That's why P had to come over. And then those little magnetic clips, once again, worked really, really well for this attachment. Now, they kept clipping onto all my tools there, which was driving me crazy, but they're wonderful because they actually attach to like our little caddy and up around the lamps and things. So at this point, this is the next day, and everything has dried. It was great, and like I had mentioned earlier, you can see you could see the additional piece there. So I had little scraps of the cover that when P wrapped it around, she trimmed those off, so we don't throw anything away. Had those, so came in with that. And something to think of, what I should have thought about was using the same paper that you'll see that I cover the inner cover with. And as I said before, should have done that even before doing the binding part with the string. All in all, very pleased with kind of how it went. Learned a lot. Just tucking it in, because it did leave a little bit. I think mainly what attached in the middle part were the two ends and right where the string met the spine. Just trimming up some stuff there. Now, trimming up a little bit more. Talking about the cover, and or the beginning of the book versus the end of the book. So I was just playing around with that and then figuring out, okay, well, so if this is the beginning of the book, then what papers to use. So this is the sheet off of our, when we do our printable sets, I always do a collage or a combination of all the papers that you'll have in the cover sheet. So this is from that cover sheet. And not all the squares are exactly the same, because they just don't lay out on the page that way. So that made it a little bit tricky on which ones I could keep together and put into place, along and keeping in mind that I wanted it to match up front and back, at least size-wise. I did go ahead and just tear the little edge there, so it made it fit more properly, because it was hitting that edge of the binding. So that's why I didn't keep a straight edge there. because it actually would have made the outside look not square, not in line, or not even with the border. Hopefully that makes sense. Just doing the same sort of thing on the I believe I did the back first, and that's then the front. So lining things up. It was trickier to do the second one to make sure that it was gonna look right with the one that I had already done. And on this, I tore too much, came back in, and I was like, that's okay, because I knew I was going to come back in with just little pieces and fix it. The great thing about the Mountain Sunrise set of papers is it really worked out very nicely for that. Like if you needed to piece anything together because of the pattern in the papers, it didn't look like there was anything. It just looked like it was part of the paper. So we're very pleased with how they have turned out, and we love working with them. And we have them both available on our website and on Etsy now. So the last thing that we wanted to do, and P went ahead and had done the, I think, the inside front cover. And then I was like, we need to show that on video, so she left the backside to me. So this is the actual folded collage page. And since we didn't cover it with a full sheet or anything like that, it looked a little unfinished. So again, just took all of our scraps. P actually cut them all up into the tiny little bits and laid them out there. And then I came in and glued them down. Which was pretty cool. It was like a repetition of all of the folded squares that then made the full collage. There you have it. Our nifty difty folded collage book. And of course, a little PM. We really do have to say thank you to Lydia Rink. I mean, obviously this would not have been the book that it is if P hadn't come across her videos, and we have so enjoyed that and appreciate it. Please like and subscribe below. Give this a thumbs up. Hit that red square and ring the bell. Thank you again.